Hello again, YouTube fans, and welcome to another quick video, just wrapping up some of the new stuff that's been going on. I'm Richard Lewis, of course. Joining me, the floating voice inside my head, it's Sam Bainlaw Davis. That's a terrible name. Here comes that boy.
You say how you fucking love it, man.
No, I do love it. I do love that boy, actually. I think that boy will be remembered as like a high watermark in our culture.
President that boy.
Yeah, the year is 2068. President that boy has declared war on China. Oh shit! What? So, but anyway, it is that boy or Sam Bainlaw Davis. Why Bainlaw, by the way?
Right. When I first started playing League, I never had a name before. See, I just used to call my name on Xbox when I used to play. Like I used to play Halo competitively, and my name was just Sam Davis. It was just my name. So when I played League, I was like, "Oh, I'm playing this shit with spells and stuff. Now I gotta come up with a name."
Why?
I don't know.
Where's the logic there? Like what? Like Sam Davis is like the year is 4016.
Yeah,
I am playing
Sam
Halo.
Davis.
I am a space lord.
I don't know.
Right? Why is Sam Davis appropriate? Oh, a wizard now, mate.
Yeah, no wizard's called Sam Davis. I don't know.
No one in the Master Chief Army's called Sam Davis.
Yeah, there were though, because they were regular army people as well in Halo. Not all of them were fucking mad guys. They were just people in suits.
You're telling me that in a not
I don't know if there was one called Sam Davis, but they did have human names. There was, like John Genghis or something.
John Genghis? Are you fucking serious, man?
They had names for humans.
John Genghis. That's the name.
Genghis, actually.
Oh, brilliant. John Genghis.
Good old Johnny Genghis, man.
One man can stop the alien invasion. His name is John Genghis.
But either way, I was just trying to think of random things, and Bainlaw's what came into my head. I don't know.
That's the question.
Maybe
obviously it came into your head. I know you made it up. I don't think like you were like part of a tribe, and like your fucking dad was like, "Now, son, before I die, you must take the title of Bane." Obviously, you made it up.
Just an edgy wizard name.
Fuck you, man.
What do you want me to tell you, man? The thing is, I've been trying to get rid of it, but
What do you
fucking
mean?
like all
Just
the
don't use it then.
yeah, but all the good like Twitter tags are gone. I can't get
What
Sam
does
the
that
producer. I can't get producer Sam. I can't get anything like that. So it's fucking Bainlaw for now. Everyone
No
grew
one
up.
knows what Bainlaw is. So here I am trying to think, I better start using Bainlaw. And you're like, no, I want rid of it, mate.
No,
It's just
don't use it.
edgy wizard name.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Sam.
okay, we'll get you a new Twitter name, I think.
Alright, Sam.
At some point. Anyway. Fucking hell. These
Straight up
intros.
to that boy, man.
Started with that boy. Ends with Bainlaw. Anyway, so we wanted to give a quick update. Obviously, if you've been hiding under a rock, you might not have heard that there is a lawsuit, and a couple of lawsuits now, actually, being brought against Valve over this CSGO gambling stuff. We've been covering the CSGO gambling in this channel pretty extensively, I would say. I think we've really done as well as anybody in terms of like getting different opinions about it, highlighting the key issues, and trying to get some informed commentary going on. And if you haven't watched the videos, definitely do that. But basically, what actually has materialized, and I was really surprised that this happened to the degree it did, there was a lawsuit that came out, and it was one chap who had gambled both as a minor and as an adult, and then in the aftermath of the syndicate and T. Martin and all the other motherfuckers coming out and as being basically involved in deception over their fan base in terms of rigging outcomes and owning sites and not declaring it and trying to make gambling look desirable to a very young fan base, some would say an underage fan base. Obviously, he decided to take action, and his name was Michael John McLeod, I believe it's pronounced, and he was the first guy to really bring a lawsuit against Valve in this matter, and then that was quickly followed up shortly afterwards by a lawsuit by a concerned parent in Florida whose child had also been gambling, and she wanted to bring together a class action lawsuit. So there's been some updates on this, and I thought it was worth talking about separately because we haven't really had time to get into it and really break down the lawsuit outside of the video I did with Ryan Morrison. So I thought this was interesting, Sam, because I did say that I felt the first lawsuit, Mr. McLeod's lawsuit, was going to be deeply flawed. And to just kind of paraphrase what he was saying was that it was Valve knowingly allowed illegal online gambling activity and was complicit in creating and facilitating that. That was the complaint. Again, in a nutshell, I believe that's an accurate summary. So, and I kind of felt there's just no way that it was going to stick. He actually even said in his lawsuit that he said, skins are like gambling chips that you get in a casino, that they're not money themselves, but they have an intrinsic value that everybody agrees upon at any given moment, and therefore they are like gambling chips. So I guess you're with me so far. And I heard that point made, actually, by a lot of people. So just again, I don't know if you have any opinions.
I don't really agree. Well, of course I agree with it, right? Obviously skins have value. But in a legality term, I don't think you can really prove that. Because in Valve's thing, it literally says you cannot sell. It says in terms and conditions you can't sell the skins. And I feel like that's enough to cover yourself, surely. If I put in my terms and conditions you're not allowed to sell, isn't that enough?
Well, I'd have thought so.
And the API is public. People are saying, like, oh, yeah, they're letting them use the API. Everyone can use the API.
Yeah, literally, all you have to do is send an email to Valve, I think, just to apply to get the API, and you have it. I don't even think it's necessarily scrutinized. One of my understandings is there's a lot of criticism aimed at Valve in the fact that the API is just available to all. Anybody can, do whatever they want with it once they apply for it. So, anyway... there was an interesting article which came out kind of in the aftermath, I think, of all this coverage we were doing in PC Gamer. And it's by a first-time writer over there. And he has done a breakdown of this lawsuit raised by Mr. McLeod and explains why it's flawed. And I thought this was interesting to just talk about some of the points here. So anybody that is maybe wavering or was on the fence about the gambling issue, because, look, it's a pretty divisive issue. I see a lot of people, I will say, mostly people that take money from gambling sites. Yeah. Like, I saw some video from, like, Schaefer, an old CSGO player and now a CSGO streamer, like saying, the usual shit, like nothing anyone hasn't said before, like fucking, well, you have laws about drinking and you wouldn't ban drinking. That's not the point. Like, there isn't last time I checked anyway, there isn't a way to spit alcohol out of your fucking, USB port into a cup. So you can't fucking, God, I wish there was. So you can't monitor who's drinking it. You have to go into a shop where they ask for ID, where you are filmed. Right, where there is a legal requirement before you can make the transaction occur. You have to go into a bar. You have to go to a public place. It's very obvious in a lot of cases if you're an underage drinker. That's why people have to go to these like fucked up means, like getting third-party people to buy alcohol. So the whole point here is regulation. And I think I see a lot of people that are like, oh, this is just an attack on gambling, and all those people are people that take money from gambling sites. There's definitely an ethical and responsible and enjoyable... To be fair,
I would also be livid. Who's in that 50 grand a month?
Yeah, I get that, but at least make that very clear as that's why your motive. So. Yeah. And equally, I see a lot of people who are too fucking hysterical the other way, like, oh, think of the children. Oh. And it's like, look, let's not begging, really. It's bad and all that, but let's fucking calm the fuck down. Like, there's fucking worse stuff out there to get exposed to. So let's just be balanced on the issue and debate the facts. So anyway, this article talks about how, and this is the first counter-argument it makes, it breaks down why the casino chips analogy doesn't work. And it says here, the crucial differentiator here that undermines McLeod's analogy is the fact that skins, unlike casino chips, do not exist primarily as a form of non-money currency. Whereas casinos use chips to exploit legal loopholes in staking cash and to distance gamblers from the money they've already essentially spent, Valve implemented skins as a means of customization and creative expression, both for the makers of the skins and those who use them. The use of skins evolved later, and it goes beyond their intended purpose and was seemingly driven by third parties, which is what weakens McLeod's argument. And it's actually hard to come up with a counter-argument to that. I don't believe when Valve created skins and introduced them into the game, they thought they were making a economy. I don't think they were like, these things will have monetary value and eventually they will be used in place of gambling chips, or they will be used in exchange for goods and services.
It's just a way to boost income on the game.
Yeah.
For themselves. Nothing to do with like the
And that point is absolutely right. All of these skin sites that have really driven up the value, all of the sites that have associated skins with gambling, well, they're not Valve-owned sites. They are independent from Valve. Valve aren't doing it. I don't log on to Steam and see an option to, bet through Steam, right? It's not there. They don't say during the major, hey, why not? The closest you get to that is the pick'ems.
That isn't even a gamble, because you get things for what you pay. You get stickers.
Yeah, you get to keep the license to use that property. So I kind of do see, actually, that would weaken the argument. And I thought it was a weak argument to begin with, but I think that's an excellent point. And then the next point that McLeod makes in the lawsuit was that Valve created and support a secondary marketplace where these in-game purchases can be gambled and cashed out. Now, Valve definitely, in my opinion, didn't create the betting economy. I don't think there's any way you can successfully argue that, because to say that would be that Valve would have to have knowingly contributed to the creation of those sites, which I don't think they did. I don't even think Valve were aware that there were going to be so many of them. So again, it's very hard to say that when when Valve enable you to get that Steam API, that you're going to make a gambling site. I don't even think you have to declare purpose. So again, it cites in the lawsuit that you require permission and cooperation from Valve. That's not true. You don't, actually. You just get the Steam Web API key, which anybody with a Steam account can have. There is literally, they don't say, what is your intended purpose here? They just give it to you.
Yep.
So again, it really weakens that argument there. And also as well, in the lawsuit, they talk about how you turn skins into money. You turn skins into currency. And that is that it's, again, he lays it on Valve's doorsteps. He says Valve specifically allows players to transfer skins to third-party sites. That's not the case. You can't do it directly. That's why you have all this bot trading, right? Which is basically the way that the reason that bot trading exists is it's a workaround to the inherent limitations within Steam, and that is that the sites create this to act as a middleman, which is actually a violation of the terms of service. It says in the Valve's terms of service in section 4, you may not use cheats, automation software such as bots, mods, hacks, or any unauthorized third-party software to modify or automate any subscription marketplace process. Now, we all know it goes on, and we all know these sites use them, and we all know Valve haven't policed them. But again, like you just said right at the top of the show, terms of service has got to cover them there, I think.
Yeah, definitely. That's the whole reason it's there, I'm pretty sure, is to cover their ass if this ever runs.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's right? It's not that they necessarily have a standpoint one way or the other on whether or not it happens. It's more about if anybody tried to make us legally liable for that, we're covered because we can actually say it. So I thought it was really interesting that PC Gamer actually, who've been very much at the forefront of signal boosting these gambling stories, they brought in the article writer, and I will put it in the description for this video, Matt Sayer, who broke this down, and they're pretty much saying that this lawsuit is weak, and it's very easy to see why based on the arguments that I'm highlighting. The article also does like a little bit of a summary of the recent AMA, where you saw Bryce Blum, Ryan Morrison, and Jeff Ifra, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, which are three legal experts, lawyers, attorneys that have also an interest and an understanding of esports and gaming, and they did an AMA to answer questions about it. And again, we talked about this with Ryan. A lot of cynical people were saying, "Oh, you're just doing this to get your name out there," but ultimately, they're not going to get business from the average Redditor. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to get business from the average person who posts on Reddit. You know, they're a little bit further up the fucking food chain than that. I'm sure they'll happily take your money if there's a specific issue, but a lot of these lawyers are like representing organizations now, teams now, games developers. They would only get interested in something that was going to have a hugely positive impact on the community, like a class action suit. And again, one of the quotes they took from that AMA, which I'll just end this little segment on, was holding Valve responsible for every single thing that a player or gambler might do with a skin once it is out of Valve's hands, of course sounds harsh, but Valve could have done more to slow the success of the secondary skin betting market. I've yet to speak to an attorney that reviewed the complaint and thought the case was likely to get past a motion to dismiss. So this first lawsuit, which again, with no legal expertise, I'd kind of readily dismissed as not being the one that was going to get shit done, did pave the way for this secondary lawsuit, which is more interesting to me. This lawsuit is being, let's say, brought about by a parent of a child in Florida whose child has lost value, if you like, from the skins gambling. And when it was brought to her attention, all this syndicate and T. Martin stuff that was kicking up, she didn't hesitate to file this lawsuit. And this is being headed up by a law firm called Jones Ward. We're going to talk about them in just a second, so you can bring that up if you want. But there was a report in Polygon where Jasper Ward, who did actually, has been very open and has done interviews with websites like Polygon and that sort of thing. He has basically been very vocal in condemning Valve for what they've done here. And again, this specifically focuses on the underage element of the gambling, which I think makes more sense. I think that's the road you have to go down if you want there to be any change. Everyone's beating their chest about legislature, about regulation, not the act of gambling itself. That's a disingenuous argument. Like, I don't want teams or players to be associated with gambling websites. I don't want that. I think that opens up the doors to just a flood of potential corruption. And I'm not interested in allowing that. That should be stopped. If you play in a team, and you should be made now to divest yourself of any shares in gambling websites if you want to be involved on a competitive level in any Valve endorsed tournament. Whatever Valve can do to leverage it, right? You should not be allowed to own a gambling website or a share of a gambling website, whatever it is, no matter how harmless it looks. That's just the only way to keep church and state separate. So Jasper Ward came in, and in this interview with Polygon, he did talk about this. I've got to find the exact quote. He talks about how most of the people in the CSGO gambling economy are teenagers and under 21, which I thought was very interesting because I don't know where they're getting that number from.
I think it's an old guess.
Yeah, it could be a guesstimate, which is the old. I mean, people who say the word guesstimate are absolute cunts usually, but it could be a guesstimate. And he goes on to say here, and this is why this guy really doesn't know what he's talking about. Jasper Ward was the guy who was involved in the DraftKings and FanDuel case, which centered around whether or not fantasy sports was a violation of state gambling laws, and we all know how that went in the end. They started to say yes, and that money is no longer coming into esports and mainstream sports. So he says, and this is a quote, Valve created and is profiting from an online gambling ecosystem that, because it is illegal and unregulated, harms consumers, many of whom are teenagers. Parents don't know this is going on, can't talk to their kids about it because the gambling chips are called skins, and it seems like it's just another in-game purchase. And he goes on and says, Valve is like a bar owner who lets people set up roulette wheels and blackjack tables in the back, sells chips to teenagers on their way in the door, and then makes people cash out at the pawn shop across the street.
I'm not sure with that analogy, mate, because the thing is, I've been to bars that do have blackjack. The difference is the chips have no value unless you're selling the actual chip. It's the exact same analogy. If the analogy was going to a bar and you play blackjack but the chips have no value, that's what it is. I don't get people. It's almost like people are appropriating a value, but you need to look at this as a default level without your outside influences first. this is nothing. It's not actually value. If like you can't sell it, if you go in by the law of the terms of service, you're not allowed to sell. So I don't get how they can appropriate value when if they bring in the case to Valve, they are the ones who control the value. It's their
And
own ecosystem.
and he goes on as well. It has created a new game it owns and on which those kids can gamble, then lets the bookies take bets on it in the corner booth. The fact that it's Valve's server and software instead of a bar, and Steam's API instead of a physical roulette wheel, and international websites like OP Skins instead of a pawn shop, and Lounge instead of a bookie in the corner booth doesn't change what Valve is doing. It has created a gambling ecosystem out of thin air, and its customers are getting scammed and losing money on rigged websites as a result. Then he just come back. Valve should have a chance to tell its side of the story, and we are anxiously awaiting their explanation. Now, Valve still have yet to comment on this, and again, we speculated in the Ryan Morrison interview I did that this was simply down to the fact that their legal counsel will have said we can't say anything until we get this lawsuit out of the way. And Ryan Morrison also said he thinks that the first lawsuit, the one we were talking about right at the beginning of this video, that one will just get laughed out. That won't go anywhere. This one's a little bit more complicated. And it's complicated because Valve absolutely cannot settle. Because if they settle, that means that everyone who has ever gambled and could prove that they were underage, they indulged in gambling on the sites named in this lawsuit, which are all the big ones, they would have a claim to get compensation from Valve. It would be a huge money sink just to make this go away. And it still wouldn't defeat the fundamental problem that you would have to still change everything at the end of it. So Jasper Ward continues as well. The ability to convert skins to cash makes them a thing of value and makes gambling those things of value online illegal. Teenagers should not have to hide this from their parents, and parents should have all of this information about what is really happening when their kids ask them to use the family credit card to buy skins for the game. The fact that there is a real-world cash value of skins, a fact Valve is well aware of, is one of the things that Valve is going to have to address. So, again, he's moved forward, and he is literally saying that, and this is where I guess it's going to be interesting to see which way a court rules on this, because he's saying the fact that the money has cash value in itself is enough to just blow this wide open. Valve know that's the case. Valve know people sell skins. That makes all of this illegal. That makes it a problem. We've already highlighted in the terms of service, it says you can't sell these for cash.
Yeah, and also how can you prove they know? If say, for example, Valve just goes, we didn't know. We have a lot of people using our API. Obviously, it's bullshit. They do know, but
I don't think Valve need to come out and necessarily say something that's patently absurd as that.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, how do you prove the opposite?
I think the more interesting point is, like I say, how are they going to? Which argument is going to win out? The fact that it's like Valve haven't placed any real monetary value on skins. That's how other people have done that. All they've done is create scarcity. Scarcity in itself isn't creating value. Scarcity leads to people to apportion value to things. But ultimately, it's a bidder's market, right? Like, there's no fixed amount on what a Dragon Lore is worth. It's worth whatever someone is willing to pay for it, and whatever someone is willing to sell for it. And those transactions are all outside of the terms of service. There's no disputing that. You're not supposed to sell skins for money. Everybody knows it's bullshit. Everyone who's engaged in it knows they shouldn't be doing it. So, and just finally, he talks about this Jasper Ward again. He talks about how this CSGO Lotto scandal is a perfect example of how what Valve has created harms consumers. That combined with the quote from an anonymous Valve employee talking about how there was rigged roulette sites in Russia should help shed light on the skins gambling issues. The position it is putting Valve's customers in of being subject to scams and prompt some sort of action from Valve. Valve's decision to unblock Lotto, which did happen after this, is mind-boggling, and I look forward to getting answers from Valve's key decision makers. So this lawsuit is going to go ahead. It is going to be one of the bigger lawsuits. I've been following lawsuits before in esports, and I've been miserably let down. Like, I remember when we were going to get into that big three-way of Riot, Blizzard, and Valve over Dota 2, and it just didn't happen. Everyone just settled on it in the end, and it kind of petered out. But this could be the first time We're going to see a big games developer actually embroiled in a protracted legal saga, and they're going to have to come out and basically justify everything that has gone on up until this point where we're at. And I'm going to be fascinated by the answers and which way this is going to go, because a lot of people, when this fantasy betting started happening with DraftKings and FanDuel, a lot of people were saying, this is going to get fucked up. This is going to get taken away. And a lot of people pushing back going, nah, it's not. It's still a game of skill. And lo and behold, they found out that with all the money that was going on, with all the corruption that was going on, with all the scamming that was going on, it was just better to just lump it in as illegal gambling. It was the only safe way to regulate that particular industry. So this, I think it actually has a real chance of going the other way. I think it really, the same way. I think it could go like the opposite to where it is now, where people are like saying, "Oh, we'll regulate it and it'll be okay." This could have huge ramifications for Counter-Strike, for how we fund majors, for all sorts of things moving forward. So it's damage to the skins market is going to be huge, and we all know the skins market. We don't know how much that props up Counter-Strike.
Yeah, but the thing is, right? Say if Valve do lose this lawsuit. The only thing they'd have to do, if they are told you need to regulate everything, the only thing they'd have to do is shut down the skin sellers, right? Because everything else is fine. The reason people saying this bad is because you can sell skins for money. So say if they shut down like OP skins, all that's going to happen is this is going to go underground. Like, the people think they're going to stop gambling. That isn't how it works. The most they're going to have to do is shut down skin sites, like the ones that sell them, because they are the problem makers. There's still going to be gambling sites, but it'll be, you can only withdraw skins. And at that point, you're just going to have to sell them the old-fashioned way, like on Reddit and shit.
Well, yeah, but again, I mean, I still think that would be kind of a victory. That would almost be a step in the right direction. Right?
But I think that's bad, because more and more people are going to get scammed.
Well, yeah, possibly. But here's the thing. Ultimately, it's buyer beware. It's like if I go on Craigslist and I go and meet somebody and they turn up and it's like, brace yourself, fool, and I get fucking jacked. It's buyer beware, right? Like, it sucks for me. But there was inherent risk involved. I'm meeting a complete stranger to do an online transaction.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking is, like, everyone who's like really against Valve in this case somehow thinks that even if Valve lose, all the gambling's going to go away. That isn't what's going to happen.
No, definitely not. No.
In a different shape, and the sellers is what's going to be the main change.
So on that lawsuit, again, all these links will be in the video description. You can go to www.jonesward.com/our-cases/class-action/CSGO -gambling-lawsuit/ Definitely we'll put that link underneath. And you can see there where it says, this is our CSGO gambling lawsuit. Thank you for your interest in our CSGO gambling lawsuit. We are here to assist you in recovering some of your gambling losses. Specifically says that's what they're going to go after. Your gambling losses, we're going to get them back for you. Jones Ward PLC is a team of lawyers with many years of experience in class action litigation. The law firm is pursuing multiple class action lawsuits in the United States against Valve and various skins gambling websites connected to the video game Counter-Strike Global Offensive. These class actions are made up of individuals like yourself who have lost value or money through another party's deception. We are working diligently to recover funds from U.S. residents who have lost money or skins through these illegal gambling contracts. We cannot guarantee that we will be able to recover the value lost by all users or that we will recover at all due to the nature of litigation. Still, we seek to assist every user that has been wronged by these companies and can only do so with your help. So again, everybody's lost, right? Like, I've never placed a bet, so I definitely haven't. But I'm pretty sure
I have.
Yeah, I mean, everyone who's bet has lost, right? That's the nature of how it works. So I'm going to be massively intrigued to see where the line is drawn on this. Like, we're talking about CSGO Lotto and all these sites. Well, does it include, I know, like CSGO Lounge, right? Like, if I lose a game betting on a result or an outcome of a match, like, I guess technically we're still saying I shouldn't be able to do that. It should be regulated. So, I mean, shit, it's just mind-blowing how big this is. And then you can go at there, and they've even got their own email address for this, CSGO lawsuit at jonesward.com. You can go there, and it tells you all you need to include. And it's just your name, where you live, your age, the age when you first signed up on Steam, when you purchased CSGO, which CSGO gaming sites you used. Did you ever buy and sell CSGO skins through Steam? Did you ever buy and sell CSGO skins on a third-party marketplace? What information do you think we should know? And they're literally going to gather all of this stuff up. They've put a bunch of people on it. They've pretty much put the bulk of their legal team on this lawsuit. It's definitely going to go ahead. This isn't going to go anywhere. And by the looks of things, with this class action suit, I mean, they're looking at, like they say, they want to recover people's losses. So they're either hoping for a big fucking settlement to be divided by all the people in this class action suit, or I mean, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know where that could go, because it is hard to argue. It's a lot more robust than the previous lawsuit, Mr. McLeod's lawsuit.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fucking crazy, dude.
I still see it as like every law firm seems to be jumping on this, don't you think? No, which is to be expected because it's gone so big. But
yeah, but because whoever brings this home, it's going to be a fucking feather in your cap, you know. In the same way that for the Jones Ward firm, the whole FanDuel and DraftKings case it's a landmark fucking case, you know. And landmark cases look very good. If you're a law firm, that's what's going to happen here. This will be a landmark case. This will forever, whichever way it goes, change the fucking landscape. And what they are hoping is that they're going to get a bunch of money back for the people they represent. And there's going to be the knock-on effect that this gambling will be recognized as wrong, as damaging, as unregulated, and it's going to get put under the, you know, perhaps even new rules are going to come up as a result. But certainly it's going to become regulated by the existing rules and laws we have around gambling. So it's a huge deal. So I just wanted people to know about that. And look, again, I have the only thing I truly care about, like I say, users being deceived. I don't have a problem with gambling. You know, I definitely think it needs to be regulated, though, and certainly I think some of the people have done here in our esports space is disgusting. It's unconscionable. It needs to come with a penalty. And if that penalty is that they have to pay damages to the people that they fucking defrauded, then I'm fine with that. I'm very fucking comfortable with that. So I did want to just signal boost this story. I wanted to kind of just show you guys. All the links will be in the description. You can go there. If you've been affected, you can sign up to that lawsuit. This is fucking legit. This isn't like some scam. This is a notable law firm. And this is really happening. This isn't bullshit. So anyway, we're gonna have some big breaking news. Actually, these past two videos, they are just kind of, like I say, signal boosting existing stories. We're gonna be breaking some news on the next video, maybe the next video or thereabouts. It's a pretty big story. Again, it relates to this gambling stuff. We found evidence that points to more people engaging in this deceitful practice of fake ownership, not declaring their ownership, rigging outcomes of roles, and it's really, really shocking that this is as widespread as it certainly seems to be based on our findings. We're going to put a video out about that, and hopefully it's going to enable people to have their eyes opened a bit more about this sort of thing. Hopefully it's going to put a stop to this sort of thing in the industry. And again, I will urge people, if you are involved in anything like this, the storm is coming. Get ahead of this shit. Come out, confess to what you did, publicly own the mistakes you've made, and start turning it around sooner rather than later, because nobody is going to get fucking left untouched by this. The earth is going to be scorched. You can either take it now or you can take it far fucking worse later. So there we are. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for Sam. Didn't do much this video, really. Just sort of hung around in the background. Did tell a cool story at the start, though.
Can't even remember what the story was.
Yeah, Sam Davis.
Yeah.
Don't even remember your own name.
No. I was good at it, right? Earned some money.
Fuck.
First esport.
Right. See you next time.
Rest in peace, Izzy. See